What up? I'm Jared. I'm 19, and I never fucking learned how to start this podcast.
I'm Amani.
I'm Lance Guthmiller.
I'm Braden Burns.
And today, we're talking about movie trailers. So, have you ever had an experience where you see an awesome trailer and you hype yourself up for a great movie, and you're let down often in the theaters? We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Great trailers that led to bad movies, bad trailers that led to good movies, trailers that led to exactly the movie we would expect. All sorts of things today on the KDSU podcast.
So, what makes a good trailer? Like, I feel personally that a good trailer has to have a few things, because I watched the J.J. Abrams TED Talk. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I didn't know that
okay,
he did
great.
One.
He did do one, and it was about the mystery box that movies should have. At least when he's directing a movie, he tries to have like a surprise. It doesn't always have to be big. If it's like an action movie, there's no need to have a huge mystery, but a huge surprise because people aren't there for the mystery; they're there for the action. But
right,
it's something he doesn't want the audience to know, and so a step to that is making sure that mystery isn't in the trailer. Whether it's the big fight scene. The reason all the people are doing whatever the plot demands them to do in the movie, or just something like that. And so, I feel like a good trailer needs to have a little bit of mystery to it. Give you enough to make you go watch the movie.
I agree, and I think that's a really hard line to walk. Showing just enough and too much, because you don't show enough in a trailer, people aren't going to know what your movie is about. Like Sweeney Todd, right? Did anybody watch that movie with what's his name? Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp, yeah.
A lot of people, when they went to that movie, didn't even know that it was a musical.
It's a musical?
Yeah, it's a musical. Because all the trailers and stuff that were shown on TV and stuff, like most of them didn't really have them singing. They had music and stuff behind it, but a lot of people were just like, I didn't pay to come see a musical, and a lot of people walked out of theaters because it wasn't what they were expecting.
Huh?
Yeah. So, like, obviously they didn't show enough in their trailer because they couldn't even tell what the genre was. But then there are trailers that show too much and give, like, a ton of stuff away.
Right. So I've got two trailers that I want to bring up. The first one is for a classic movie that I think almost everyone has seen. The first Alien movie, which did a phenomenal job with the trailer, in my opinion, because it showed enough to really get you to ask, what's going on here? It showed, really just bits of people running around, some screams, some just horror elements, stuff like that. But it never showed anything that was too, they didn't show too much in the film, or in the trailer. So, when you actually saw everything that happened in the movie, it was actually a surprise, just like, the box of surprises that you were talking about. Now, the next one is the Alien Covenant trailer, which is, in my opinion, I actually haven't seen the movie, but it's an awful trailer in my opinion, mainly because of the fact that at the very end of it, for the most part, they don't show too much in it, but at the very end of the trailer, they show the climax of the movie. They show the alien jumping onto the spaceship, and all that shock and awe is just gone with that. You've seen it, it's done.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty pivotal moment in a movie like that, and when you show that kind of stuff, it takes away from your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking like original Alien movie was like 1979, and Covenant was what, 2015, 2016, 2017. So you're talking
like
of almost a 40-year difference in movies. And if you actually watch the trailer for Alien, like the original Alien, it like the graphics are like, when we're so used to like great graphics and great music, you're kind of thrown off a little bit.
Yeah.
There's some cat images and or like something that looks like a cat kind of a thing. There are things that surprise you that you don't think are of the high quality that you would want to see in a trailer. But this was like 1979. I mean, my father was a child, so you know it's a long time ago, right? And I still think they did a great job. And I've seen the movie, of course, because I watch movies, and I guess that makes me cool or something. But I think they did a good job. And I actually have seen Alien Covenant, and I agree. I think that there were pivotal moments that were shown. And, I mean, there are realizations that they talk about right away. They're like, one of the bigger parts of the trailer is the idea that it's kind of quiet and there's nothing to be found. And that's alluding to the fact that there's something killing everything. But there's still, like, wheat there. So, like, humans have been there. And then it shows a scene of the actual spaceship that the humans came on. Like, I would rather go in and be like, there's the spaceship that, like, the universe has been setting up for this movie. Like, where the creators are like, we landed people here before. Now let's continue from what they've done, things like that. And I think they failed to do that in many regards to the trailer that they released for that movie. And I think the movie really struggled because of it. And I don't know box office wise how it did. But I know that a big issue that people had when they went to watch it, and I mean, we have our issues with Roger Ebert or whatever you
Roger Ebert. I don't
Yeah.
like it.
He gave it a great score, but I think, all the other scores seem to be low. And I think that's a big issue that people had when they went to watch the movie, something that I definitely had, because I'm a big advocate in watching the trailer before you go, because I want to know exactly what I'm getting into without knowing too much about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I thought they didn't do as strong as they could have.
That's fair. So, I have on the plate an example of a trailer that I found to be excellent for a movie that was also excellent. I hope everyone here has seen the film Logan, because if you haven't, you're going to watch the trailer and then I'm going to spoil it for you.
We're just going to cut this out.
Okay.
Well, you gotta pay for that, right? Hey, come on. Not okay.
Man, that could be a trailer on its own right there, honestly.
Maybe a quarter of it happens, but not like this. In the real world, people die. Logan, I don't want to talk about it. Logan, just stop. Be careful. I need the girl. What girl? Go get her. No. 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 And we're down. We're down. She's like you. Very much like you. We're down. I am not whatever it is you think I am. She needs our help. Someone come along. Someone has to come along. This is what life looks like. People who love each other. A home. You should take a moment. Feel it. You still have time.
Let me segue right here.
Can I? Because I have several things to say. Okay. So, a lot of things that I loved about that trailer and the movie in general, but I just want to talk about the trailer because that's the main focus of this topic. And the first thing I want to say is, the very beginning, you're kind of like shot like you don't know what you're watching. You just see some girl walk into a store. By the way, this is the Logan trailer 2, if you're interested in watching this on your own, so you can see what I mean.
And we'll have
You just see-
we'll have some links down below too, and
Yeah.
things like that if you want to follow along with what Amani says.
And so you don't know what's going on, and then you see Logan show up, you see Wolverine, Hugh Jackman pop on the screen. You're like, oh, this is an X-Men movie, this is a Wolverine movie. and then cue the music, you have a dramatic trailer telling you what the story is. In the story, it's completely different. Like when I first saw this trailer, I was expecting, typical slash minimal plot. But then you're getting a more touching, a more personal story, on top of the fact that you have a well-used MacGuffin. You guys all familiar with that phrase? It's a MacGuffin is basically a device, an object in a movie that all the characters are trying to get. And so, but instead of it just being a thing, an inanimate object that everyone's after, it's a person that's attached to Logan personally, and that is dangerous and able to fight for itself, so it's not completely useless. But I digress onto the actual movie itself. This trailer just does a good job, to me personally, of not giving away too much, having a kick-ass song, Cleo. What's the name of that song? You know, off the top of their head?
No, I don't.
Way Down We Go. There we go.
Way down.
And by the way, it was on FIFA 15 in 2014, so I was listening to that before all of you. Anyway, yeah, I just think that's a great example of a trailer.
Yeah, I definitely think that it did a great job of setting up the tone of the movie without giving away plot elements. So like you could immediately tell, like Amani said, that it was going to be a little bit of a darker, more gritty story to it without even knowing anything about the plot, just by soundtrack and Logan's looks. Obviously, he has the big scruffy beard. Yeah.
So I mean, coming into the show that we're doing tonight, I did some research on a lot of different sources on what they recommend to people that are creating trailers. And two of the big ones that always come up are awesome soundtrack and music and capturing the mood of the movie. Because those are important things. Because something that Sweeney Todd didn't do was capture the mood of the characters at different points in the movie. Because, I mean, as a person who watched High School Musical as a child, when they're singing, it's a different thing than when they're acting. I mean, when they're acting, they seem like high school students, well, fake high school students that you could say are real, even though I'm Zac Efron. Anyway, but something that they didn't do in the Sweeney Todd trailer is they didn't capture the essence of the actors and characters in the movie as they're singing and performing, and that's something. And I would never want to walk out on a movie because they're overpriced, and I think I would see it through. But that's something that people don't like. They want to know the feeling that they're going to have while they're there. So I mean, that's why some people like to go to horror films, because if in the trailer they're a little scared, they're like, this is something that interests me. This is going to the movie will give me a similar feeling, and that's a feeling that I like. And I think the trailer did a great job of that. And that's something that Braden mentioned is you see Logan. I mean, you're introduced to some of the characters, but not all of the ones that you're going to see throughout the movie, and you capture the essence of the fighting, and then of course, the music played perfectly into that too, and I mean that's impressive that you heard the song before us. I didn't know that was like a challenge to the form to listen to music before others, but congratulations to you.
Thank you.
But I think the way that the song was implemented, and that's something we also talked about the Ragnarok. Trailer. That's something that, music played in perfectly there too. But yeah, those are two things: playing what the mood is and getting some music going. And I think that trailer did a great job of both.
Another thing I noticed while watching that was that, going back to the whole mood thing, you really did. You only really got the feel for what was going on. There's a girl related to Logan that everybody wants. That's about it. I kind of see it the same in the original Alien trailer, where it's just nice and simple. Something's not right. There's something going really, really wrong on a ship, and that's about all you know. And then in the Alien Covenant trailer, they spell out the entire storyline, almost word for word. Mm-hmm. These people are couples. They're going to land on a planet. They find a spaceship, and then some of them get killed, and they're trying to escape, and the alien literally jumps onto their ship. The whole story. Mm-hmm. Yet in the Logan trailer, I had no idea what was going on. You saw scenes from the very end of the movie, in the beginning of the trailer, and scenes from the beginning of the movie and the end of the trailer, and yeah, it was mixed matched.
Yeah, and they had some, it wasn't like a laugh out loud trailer, but they had moments that you could see there was comedic relief in the movie, and a lot of Marvel movies have that. So you could expect that if you're an average movie goer, you understand that Marvel movies have a little bit of comedic relief between characters, and you saw that that was going to happen. And I mean, you saw Professor Xavier, and that's, I mean, you have no idea what role he plays in the movie. You know he's there, and that entices, but you have no idea what he's about to do. And I thought that was actually my favorite part of the trailer. I mean, structurally, the way that people recommend you do trailers to get audiences interested, but not, overly understanding of the movie's premise, it did, I mean, a great job. But something that interested me the most was the fact that I saw a character I know from other movies I've loved, and I have no idea what he's about to play. I mean, I know because I've seen the movie, but going into that, I had no idea, and so that was something that intrigued me even more.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to move into my trailer. It's another one that I think was done very well. Baby Driver. If you haven't seen Baby Driver, do yourself a favor. Go watch it. It's wonderful. I think the first 6 minutes or 8 minutes or something like that is available on YouTube. That they released after the movie was released. I don't know why, but it's amazing because of the soundtrack. You can tell, even in watching the trailer, but especially in the movie, that the soundtrack was picked way before they did like casting and stuff like that, because the entire movie is structured around music. And it's something that you don't see very often outside of like musicals, obviously. It's unique. It has something that'll pull you in. So you'll see Ansel Elgort's character, Baby, in his red Subaru, just kind of waving his fingers along to the music on the steering wheel in the beginning, and then it just kind of picks up, and it brings you into a mood where you just you're excited. You want to see what's going to happen.
And I'm glad you brought this trailer up, because this is the first movie where I have not seen the movie yet. And of course it's on my list to watch. I mean, great recommendations for most people that have seen it. And of course, I've listened to the soundtrack just as on its own, and things like that. Lots of songs that I enjoy, lots of classics that I really like. And so when I watched the trailer, it's a trailer that instantly intrigued me. And it's, probably of the year, one of my favorites that has been introduced for new movies. And I think I agree completely with what you're saying. I mean, you start with a scene that's probably not that crucial for the entire storyline that is introduced in Baby Driver, but a scene that introduces you perfectly to what you're about to get into. And there's some scenes that are shown that are kind of like high action. He does a cool trick while driving, and those are scenes I'm sure are pivotal in the movie too. But I don't think that gives away too much. And I have no idea what. I mean, the conflict is introduced. The conflict where he wants to get out of the game of doing bad things and being the driver for thieves and things like that, and because he finds a girl, and then Kevin Spacey's like, you can't get out and things like that. So I know where the conflict comes from, but I have no idea where the resolution comes from. I don't know what to expect for the resolution. I don't know. I don't even know what kind of character the girl that he finds is. So I'm very excited, and I think the character interactions, I think the dialogue that it showed, and I don't remember exactly the dialogue that it was shown, but I remember it was intriguing, and I know that I'm sure the character interactions throughout the whole movie are good too. And so I think just in that small segment of a trailer, it introduces you to a lot of things without really giving away what the purpose of getting the ticket to the movie is.
I could almost argue that I feel like the soundtrack being such a pivotal part of the movie, it being basically the framework for how that movie runs, I wish they would have shown that a little bit more within the trailer, because you still get that idea from the trailer, but here I was thinking it's going to be like, a couple scenes here and there, maybe a moment here and there is going to be synced up with the music. But then when I went to watch the film, it was completely different, and it was a pleasant surprise. But one I wish they would have shown more, because then I would have gone and seen it in theaters, because I just thought it was just another action flick. And by the time I heard that it was the best thing out, it was already out of theaters for where I lived. So I would
Yeah.
almost argue that in that instance, it almost would have done them more justice to give a little bit away.
I I can see where you're coming from on that. Yeah, I agree that
Yeah.
it could have made it stronger. I think that uh, including more could have been difficult, just because I think that it walked the line pretty perfectly for how much to show and how much not to show. They you can tell that they did a lot of thinking when they made the trailer for it, because there are, and I don't want to spoil things for Jared, but there are things that seem one way in the trailer, but after you watch the movie, you realize, oh, that definitely wasn't what I thought was going to happen in the trailer. And I think that that kind of misdirection is really important in trailers as well. And I think that the Baby Driver trailer does a really good job of exploiting that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So my trailer is a little bit different than the rest. I picked the trailer for the 2018 movie release called A Quiet Place, a movie that has yet to come to theaters. I think April 6th. Yeah, April 6th, 2018 is the expected release date. And I thought it'd be cool to pick a trailer of a movie that hasn't come out yet, because I thought it'd be cool to discuss it now. And see if we can kind of apply what we've learned. I mean, now I've watched hundreds of trailers in the last week, just preparing to talk about, what I think about trailers. And so I thought it'd be cool to apply some of what we learned from, some other trailers and how they correlated with the movies and how we enjoyed it and how we didn't enjoy it and how showing the whole alien is a bad idea, things like that. And so I picked a trailer like this, and I mean, the trailer is very interesting. The premise of the movie is a family of four lives in, you don't really even know if it's like a small village or if it's like a farm or a house. I mean, you're given a picture of the outside and you kind of explore a little bit of the inside. But basically the family lives in an area where they do everything silently. They use sign language to communicate. They cover the areas they have to walk in sand. And they play Monopoly with all pieces that are soft, and they roll the dice into blankets, and everyone uses lanterns and things like that to stay as quiet as possible. And the entire trailer up to a certain point is also silent, so you kind of get instantly into the mood, which is something that I think is really important, because you kind of understand, and that might be uncomfortable during viewing, and that's something to consider while you're watching it. I mean, is the movie actually going to be quiet up to that point? These are things you can ask yourself as you go into the theater. And then at one point, there's a character, I think it's the son, while playing Monopoly, he tips over a lantern and there's a small fire that starts. But they put it out pretty quickly, and it's still, it plays the sound of the crash of the lantern, and it's audible and quite loud. And so then John Krasinski, who plays the father, who, I'm a huge fan of. Of course, I'm the biggest fan of his from The Office, but he also does some good serious roles. I think he played in 13 Hours.
Mm-hmm. He was amazing in that.
And I think lots of people have said many of the same things, that he played really well. And I didn't, expect him to play great serious roles. And then, of course, his wife, Emily Blunt, is the wife in the movie, and I know she can play serious roles. She's been in, like, The Edge of Tomorrow, which is a great movie that I like, too. So, the parents are quick to put out the flame. And then, music starts, and it's kind of like, heart beating. And then you hear something attached to the house, like some sort of creature or a monster. And you're shown some, like, scratches on the wall of, like, some big jungle beast or, like, a big cat or some sort of monster thing that, is listening for people to make sounds. But that's it. You're not shown size-wise, form, figure, anything of whatever the antagonist is supposed to be. Which is something I thought they did well at. I think that's a good move, and something that keeps your questions still going. You don't really know what you expect to come and attack this family after they make any noise. Mm-hmm. But some of the things I liked about the trailer most is there's some very subtle features that I didn't see the first time, and I watched the trailer probably 3 or 4 times just today. First, there are cars in the garage of the home. So I don't know if that means that this is something they've had to adapt to recently, or if they may have cars there just as a escape figure. And even in daylight, they're quiet. I mean, there's not a point in the trailer that they're shown, making any noise at all. Also, John Krasinski, the father, is pouring sand in more areas so that they can walk more places. So this is something that might be new. This is something that the family might be adapting to recently. And another thing to notice is that there are scratches on the wall. And I mean, they look like deep, big creatures or a monster or something caused them. So, I mean, they haven't always been successful. So these are things that the movie lays out, or the trailer lays out for you, that you don't, they aren't even spoken. I don't know how many words are even said. I mean, actual identical dialogue, there's none. And then the music starts, right when the action starts in the trailer. And then it kind of bounces around between scenes of what I expect the family has to endure to escape whatever they caused. And so I think a lot of those are cool features, and I think they really draw on the audience. And we'll see. I mean, applying what I think makes a good trailer, I think this trailer, scored very highly on my list. So I'm really excited, when the movie comes out to see, if it follows that kind of guideline.
Yeah, and just in talking about this, it reminded me of there's an actual movie writing term called showing the monster, which is something that you're not supposed to do until the climax, because the biggest thing in horror movies is suspense, and the easiest thing to get nervous about is the unknown. So if there's something that there's something in the woods, you don't know what it is. That's way scarier than saying there's a monster in the wood, or not that, and there's a bear in the woods. Say.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
when you show the monster, you take away that suspense,
The
and
anonymity.
the viewers immediately know, oh, it's an alien that's on the spaceship. But in your trailer,
A Quiet Place.
yeah, in A Quiet Place trailer, you're never shown any qualities about the monster other than that it has big claws to scratch into the wall.
Yeah. And I mean, something else that I thought was really interesting about the trailer itself is a lot of the interactions between the family seem like normal. And the children even seem happy at one point. They're playing Monopoly, or I think it's Monopoly. I think that's the game that they're playing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, of the games is like a 5 out of 10, but maybe another time. But I mean, they seem to be enjoying it, and like at one point, one of the kids is smiling, and I mean, careful not to laugh and things like that. And they're safe when rolling the dice, and it seems like they understand the predicament they're in, but they're kind of happy with it. And then at the end, you can see they're very uncomfortable. Like the mother is in Emily Blunt's in a bathtub and maybe screaming to draw attention from the family trying to get away, or maybe she's lost or trapped or something. So you can see this transition of character development, but you don't know a lot of the middle, and you don't even know where she's placed in the end. You can see that there's something that actually happened to make the characters themselves afraid. Because sometimes in horror films, if the characters aren't afraid themselves, the audience is there's nothing I have to be afraid of in this instance. And of course, this doesn't apply to characters in The Bye-Bye Man, because the characters are afraid, but the audience at no point is afraid because the movie is terrible. I think if we bring the Bye-Bye Man into each episode at least once, I think it's successful, as long as it's in a negative connotation. But yeah, that's something that happened, and I watched the trailer for the Bye-Bye Man, preparing for this, to really discover, what does the worst movie in the world have as a trailer? The trailer's
worse than The Room?
No, yeah, quite possibly.
Because a room, actually, you can laugh at that.
You can laugh.
Enjoy the
you
film.
can enjoy the time.
I guess so. It's better, but not for the right reason.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. The Bye-Bye Man would be okay, but then Mrs. Watkins comes in, and you're like, well, there goes every chance we had at a good librarian, But anyway, I think I watched the trailer, and that's what I discovered too. Is they're they already had a difficult time with that movie not to give away the entire ending. But they still managed to give away more of the ending and more of the middle and more of the beginning than, I thought possible. If you thought the movie was bad, the trailer approaches.
But you see, I feel like they did a good job then. they completely marketed what the movie was going to be, which
Yeah.
was awful. And so it still somehow managed to make a lot of money. So I think, in a way, that was a successful advertisement. Because what I feel like is if I almost feel like I'm shifting stances right now. Because I feel like if you can appropriately market what your movie is going to be, even if that movie is going to be just a crappy rehash of an old classic. That's the Alien Covenant.
People are gonna watch it.
People are gonna watch it. They're gonna be like Ridley
honestly,
Scott, an alien, spaceships. Count me in. Like
Yeah.
me, if you put Jake Gyllenhaal in an action movie, probably gonna watch it. If you put that's about it for me actually. So I don't know what else it is for you guys, but there's certain things that are gonna just draw us into movies. I guess I could say Marvel movies. If Marvel were to release a terrible movie, like everyone says Ant-Man is bad. I disagree.
I still liked it.
Yeah. See, there are people that still like it. I'm one of those people.
People say
They
Ant-Man is
marketed.
bad?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are people out there.
Really?
I
But,
haven't seen it.
if you market your movie, I feel like in the manner that it's going to be, then I feel like you've made a successful trailer. Then even if that trailer gives away like everything about the film, because I don't mean to go back to an old topic that we killed to death, but I feel like this is appropriate for the situation. Star Wars, the new trailer. The trailer that they had, it was the same trailer they had for The Force Awakens. You know, it doesn't tell you much. It just gives you general gist. This is kind of what's going to happen. If they were to make a trailer that showed the ship going through at light speed through the Snoke ship, I mean, that would have completely changed everything. I mean, I don't know if I would have gone to... Well, no, I would have. It's Star Wars. But I feel like in not doing that, they've kind of branded themselves in a way. They've marketed their movie in a certain way that it generates enough hype, which is basically what Star Wars is. It's a hype train that's just crashing through everything.
Maybe they just got lazy with their trailers because they knew people were gonna come to watch them either way.
That could be it too. I might be reaching here.
So, okay, so you're saying, not talking about that point because Star Wars just needs to stop.
It does.
But the point you were saying before, you're saying like, even if a trailer is poorly done from a
Cinematographers.
cinematographic, okay.
Cinematographical.
Yeah, that word. Even from that perspective, if it's poorly done, but it has the same exact theme of the movie, then you think it's a successful trailer.
Because
No,
just feel
I'm asking.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
yes.
no, you're wrong. Because I think half the purpose of the trailer. So I think you're right in some aspects saying that the trailer is accurate, and I think it's fair that if you're a person working for let's say you're working for Disney and you're making a trailer for a Disney movie and you make it accurate, I think that's a fair choice of approach to making the trailer, because all you're trying to do is be as honest to the viewers as you want. But I think what makes a successful trailer is not being accurate to the movie, but being insightful and intriguing to the audience, which I think is a lot different than what the movie has to do. And something, I mean, like an example of this, something we watched today, to prepare in a great movie, A Clockwork Orange's trailer is wild. I mean, it just bounces between images, and I was thinking about it today, and I mean, it's not a very popular movie, so I wouldn't be expected if the viewing of it wasn't that high. But the trailer almost reminded me somewhat of what one of the main character has to go through, in kind of his therapy kind of sessions. Well, I mean, we're flashed terrible images, and then words are flashed, and then terrible images and words, and it's like a quick flashing of all sorts of chaotic things. And the movie's nothing like that. Kind of. I mean, the themes of the movie are similar to the themes that are represented in the trailer. But like the actual chain of events in the movie seem much more fluid than what you are shown by the trailer. And the trailer has nothing to do with the development of the main character, which you don't even know what he's thinking half the time. You have no idea what's going on with the character most of the time. And this happens with a lot of characters in Stanley Kubrick movies. Like in The Shining, you have no idea what's actually going on in
Jack Torrance.
in his head.
So you think to make a good trailer, you need to give enough of an idea, but not enough of the plot to make it, watchable?
Yeah, I agree with you in some sense. I think it's important to give some of the idea. But I think accuracy and close representation to the actual movie isn't necessarily your goal.
Well, see, I beg to differ in a certain example, being comedy films,
Okay.
No one's gonna go watch a comedy
Okay.
film if they just see random bits of the plot, nothing funny to give away any part of the movie. And yeah, like I'm not gonna watch a comedy film if I don't think it's gonna be funny. If the trailer just shows serious bits to get the plot kind of rolling, not enough of the development of the characters for me to be like, what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Why should I be interested? I can't relate.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think in a comedy movie, and I think what I like most about movies that are full of content, like there are some movies that are funny, but it's only like one-time phrases that are funny rather than just like themes that are funny. Like Dumb and Dumber, there's never a joke one of them says that is funny. It's just the fact that they're so stupid. They're like, you relate to it. You're like, I'm stupid too.
Haven't seen it.
Okay, well, you're stupid too. Like, you
That's
haven't
fair.
seen it, so you're stupid. But like, throughout the whole movie, there's not like a character that's like, here, you know, here's something that's funny. Here's like something. Here's dialogue that's funny. Because there are Marvel movies where dialogue is very funny.
True.
And I love dialogue between characters. But in Dumb and Dumber, neither. I mean, they say things that are funny, but not because they're like, this is something that is strictly funny for the audience. They just say things that are so like wildly stupid that you're like, this is like comedy. This is gold right here. And I mean, sometimes it's so stupid. You're like, this isn't funny. This is just cringy, and I can't handle, you know. And that happens in like The Office. And I mean, Arrested Development, all sorts of shows like that. But I think you're right. I think that, and this is what I like about movies that have a lot of content, is they can show things in the trailer without like holding, you know, they can hold their funniest parts for the movie itself. So like the movie, The Other Guys. There's not a moment in the trailer that talks about the tuna and the lion story, at least the trailer that I watched. And you get into the movie, that's one of the best interactions between two characters in any movie that I've ever seen. I mean, that interaction that the two have, the dialogue that they have, and we'll throw a link for the tuna and the lion, because if you haven't seen The Other Guys, first, it's a great movie. I think it's on YouTube, the full movie.
It is.
It's all on YouTube. A great movie. And the interaction, I mean, the ability for the characters to just jump on top of each other at every chance they get without, like, you don't even realize that they really have inner dialogue issues. You don't think that they, like, hate each other. You think it's, like, one way. And the fact that they can jump around and have such great dialogue is really powerful. And they didn't show that in the trailer. They showed other funny things because there's lots of funny things to offer. And so I think you're right. I think in a comedy, it's important to show content that will get people interested in comedies, which is funny things. But I think it's important for the movie to have enough funny things to throw at them when they get to the theater still.
That's fair. That's very fair. It's one of the reasons why, a terrible trailer, The Bourne Legacy.
Oh, yeah.
But you see, it worked for me, because if you haven't seen the Bourne Legacy trailer, I'll give you the gist of it. Don't even bother watching it. It shows all the action scenes in the trailer, all of them. There is not one action scene that was in the movie that was not in a trailer. Like, it's not that it showed the full action scene, but I never saw an encounter that was not shown in the trailer. And to me, that made me mad. I went to the movie, and when it got to the end, I'm like, all right, there's more that's about to happen. And it just ended. And I was surprised, because I was like, that was all in the trailer. I was mad. I was livid. I paid money to go see a trailer, a 2.5 hour long. And I don't even know how long that movie is. Anyway, it was too long. Well, but my point being, I kind of got off and angry there, that trailer worked, you know. I saw it, and I'm like, this is an action-packed movie. And, of course, they had the Bourne tag on it, so you know I was going to see it anyway. That's the other one, Bourne movies. I'm going to watch those. It had basically its draw on me. Action, the Bourne name, here's a trailer, go watch it. I did.
Yeah. Well, something, and this is, I wanted to bring this up too, and I'll let you go soon, Brayden. This will be quick. Something I love about the original Bournes compared to their trailers is the trailers will show a lot of the action scenes, but that's not all that matters in the original Bournes. In Bourne Legacy, that was all that mattered.
That was it.
It was it. I mean, it was just him trying to get the serum or the blue.
He's just trying to get
cyanide.
drugs.
I mean, he was trying to get drugs
the
whole time, and they were like bouncing between crazy places. But the original Bournes, the trilogy, there are amazing scenes that aren't even touched in the trailers, like the scene where he's on top of the building across from the CIA headquarters, and he says, you should get some rest. You look tired. And I mean, they're thrown into panic. They're like, he's on the building. Like, these are things that aren't even touched upon in some of the original trailers. I don't know since if they've added them to like fan trailers or anything. But even though the Bourne series is built around action and dramatic scenes and having these kind of dramatic flashbacks that have action in them and things like that, there are important pieces of dialogue that they didn't even touch upon that you were kind of like, you didn't even know were coming. You see them happen. You see interactions between characters you didn't expect. And you see characters change in ways you didn't expect either. And what I liked a lot is his goal wasn't just to kill all of the CIA agents. He wanted to learn things. And so he tricked them into leaving the office, and then he snuck into the office, and then he, looked at the office from across the way, and no one knew where he was. And so he played games with other characters, and it was kind of this an approach that was more emotional and psychoanalytic to the other characters than physical, and that's something that a lot of audience members really liked, and they really related to that.
Basically, the Bourne Legacy sucks.
But yeah,
Okay.
I was going to say, and that brings it back again to your other point, saying that, or it was one of your guys' points, that a trailer's job isn't necessarily to represent the movie, but just to get you into your seat at the theater.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said.
Yeah, that was.
I know because it sounded smart, so it had to be me.
Oh, I said that. I said that.
Okay, sure, whatever. We agreed at the end on it. Cool. Well, Lance, I want to hear final thoughts from you. We could go around and see, what kind of trailers are you excited to see? What kind of thoughts do you have on trailers?
I'm trying to avoid trailers as much as possible nowadays, just because I think that a lot of modern trailers coming out are they spoil a lot of the movie. I mean, there are a few good ones, but like Baby Driver and others like that. But from what I've seen, the vast majority, they spoil the whole movie. So I'm just trying to avoid them, because they're not doing their job of just enticing, which is what we've come to. That's what a trailer should do. It should just entice people, and that's not what they're doing anymore. They're showing everything. But yeah,
I say Hollywood I agree with Lance. Hollywood kind of sucks at making trailers lately, but they're successful for what they're trying to do, which is get money, because box office is still doing quite well. Obviously, movies are still being made, so I mean, I'm still going to watch them because I still like knowing what I'm going into, but it just helps me get an idea for how much thought these people put into their movie. If they're going to spoil everything in their trailer, or if they're going to leave a little bit of mystery for me to be intrigued to go watch it.
Yeah, I'm a little bit in between you guys. I think that watching trailers nowadays, anyways, is kind of a gamble, because like we've discussed, some trailers are done really well. Baby Driver, especially in my opinion, did a great job of getting me to the theater. I didn't know about the movie, and my friend told me, watch the trailer to this movie, we're going to go to it tonight. And I was like, Baby Driver, that sounds pretty dumb. Then I watched the trailer and immediately got in my car and went to the theater. I was so excited to see it. But then you get trailers like Alien Covenant that just, already I know, they showed a lot in there. I don't think there's much plot left. I don't really want to go see it. So I think you gotta you gotta pick your battles, I guess. You gotta decide on which movies are worth watching the trailers for. Worth the gamble.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great point. I'm hopeful. I think there's a lot of new movies coming out soon that, as I've watched the trailers, I think they've done a nice job. And the other thing that I'm excited for is I think that the length of movies and the content they're able to fit into movies through different skills from very talented movie makers and people that assist in animations and dialogue and things like that. I think they're able to fit a lot more of movie into the movie time. And I don't think trailers are increasing the content that they're revealing. So I think we're approaching movies that have more content, and hopefully that means more things the trailer can touch upon without really giving it away. And so I'm hopeful. And I don't want movies that are 4 hours long, but I want movies that are full of content that, even if some things are given away that excite me, it's not, the big things. It's not the big reveal of the big monster, the climax of the movie, or the resolution of the movie that people wait for. And so I'm hopeful. I think movies are approaching a good place, and I think the trailers will follow if they're not already doing so.
All right. I think that was a very good point.
Thank you.
I'm Amani, and I have no idea how to end this fucking podcast.